Did you know that most podcasters don't actually make money from their content? Yeah, that's actually quite bizarre. So if you've ever wondered how do you make money from a podcast, well, I'm going to show you in this video. We're going to cover the simplest strategies that are going to turn your podcast into a cash machine. So again, if you have ever asked yourself, how do you actually make money using a podcast? Well, this video will show you how. Stay tuned. First, we're going to cover how do you actually turn your influence into income. We're also going to talk about how do you actually build that influence in the first place, and we'll talk about how to bring your friends along for the ride because, well, hey, we're better together. All right, so first question is, how do you actually turn your influence into income? So you've been working on your podcast, you've been creating amazing content, you've been gathering a following, and now you want to make some money. Well, there are different ways to do this. So first and foremost, if you have a large enough following, a large enough listener base on your podcast, you can simply add sponsorships and ads to your content. So a sponsorship would be like you'd pair up and you create a partnership with a different brand or a different podcast or a platform or something like that. You create a partnership, and in this deal, you could, well, the sky is the absolute limit, but what you can do, some ideas for you with sponsorships. You can have sponsors pay you to sponsor an episode. So their content, their little ad will run at the beginning, their links will be in your description, you'll do some shout outs for them in the show, and maybe you'll even highlight one of their products or services as well. These can happen for a singular episode, or you can have them for multiple episodes as well. So sponsorships are pretty great for the brands themselves because they're being able to be introduced to your brand new audience. And they're great for you because they can help bankroll some of the production costs of your podcast. Some people do it really, really well, and they have sponsors for every single episode of their show, and that covers all of the production expenses. That's a pretty lofty goal, but I think you guys would be able to achieve it easily. Well, hey, we also have to talk about ads. And we've seen ads run on certain platforms natively. So, for example, YouTube. First off, I definitely recommend you turn your podcast into a video podcast and make sure that you're putting it out there on YouTube. It's a giant search engine. They have a giant audience that are ready to listen and watch your content. So when you work with a platform like YouTube and you build up a large enough following, you'll be able to be entered into their partnership program. This is their ad and brand partnership program. This allows you to run ads from their advertising bank on your content and make money for every view and every click. Pretty fantastic. Well, those are strategies that are great if you have a big audience, but I want to know, where are you guys? How big is your audience? How long did it take you to grow it? What platforms are you on? Let me know in the comments below. I'm super curious to know more about you guys, so let me know down below. All right, now what happens if you don't actually have that influence yet, but you still want to make money? Well, that's where I suggest that you work on looking at your back-end products. What are you actually using your podcast to sell? If you want to make money, we can do it by sponsorships and ads, so people paying for you to produce their content, or you can do it by selling things on the back end. Put those two strategies together and you're gold. But let's talk about back-end products. So what could you sell on your podcast? Well, what is your podcast about? That's the first place you need to look for ideas. If you don't already have products developed, here are some cool ideas. Say you're a gym and you have a podcast that's all about growing your local community's influence and building that local community capacity. connecting with other professionals who serve your same community. You're about having those discussions and having those conversations. You have lots of interviews. Well, one thing that's pretty cool that you could do is take the audio from all of those interviews you've had and do something else with them. Create an audio book, transcribe them and create a physical book or an ebook. You can create a course off of the things that you've learned running your podcast. You can create a summit with all of the best interviews you've had on your show. You can create some new way of learning the information that can be garnered from your podcast in a different fashion. Use that as a first step up to your other products. I'm not here, and we definitely don't have time in this video to talk about developing that whole side of your business, but if you're interested in learning more about that, then definitely subscribe to my channel, because every week I release new videos all about building your influence, your authority, and your income online. And when we talk about income, we talk about creating those back-end products. How do we actually create a business online that gives us income and helps us leave an impact on our communities? So definitely subscribe to the channel. I want to see you guys along for the ride. I promised you I would show you how you can bring your friends along for the ride, because it is better together at the top. Well, easiest way to do this is to create partnership opportunities. Do things with other people in your network. Do this with your other content producing friends, your other podcast buddies, etc. Find yourself a network of others who are working in a similar vein to you and try to do more opportunities together. We talked about this briefly in the second point, where we're talking about the interviews we have on our shows, or the experts we have on our shows, or the content that we're digesting and breaking down and helping to find the principles and the golden moments. Look for those opportunities that you can create joint pieces of content or larger back-end products with your people in your network. So, for example, I have a client who has a true crime podcast, and what they've been able to do is connect with other true crime podcasters and create joint content. This opens both of their networks to each other's audiences, and they were able to create joint content afterwards. Once that my client was able to connect with 5 or 6 different podcasters in their realm, in their niche, and then they were able to create individual pieces of content that played onto both each other's podcasts on a regular basis, creating that new attractive character within each other's brands. And then what they did was they created a summit of all of those experts and the experts that had been on each other's shows, creating a wonderful summit with about 30 different speakers, all talking about the same kind of content. They were able to package that summit and create a back-end product that was able to cover all of their costs of production expenses on my client's content for the next 2 years. That's pretty fantastic, I think. And joint venture opportunities are easier than you think. Look for people who are within arm's reach of you. If you've ever had guests on your show before, these are the first people you want to reach out to. See how many of them have podcasts of their own, and how can you both network together. Once you look for those opportunities, that's when you're going to start seeing a rise in your influence and a rise in your income. Pretty freaking cool. So these are just some of the strategies we cover in the visibility hacking world. And if you want to know more, I'm willing to give you the secrets, because I really want you to grow your business. I want you to grow your influence. I want you to have an impact, a positive impact on the world around you. And the easiest way for you to do this is to click the links down in the description box. There you will find access absolutely free to the Visibility Hacking Secrets training. There's a video vault built just for you guys with all of the different strategies that we cover in the visibility world, from influence building, authority building, funnel building, income building, business and movement building. All of it is there for you absolutely free. So come join us. I want to see what you do with all this stuff.